Welcome everybody. Today's video finds us over here in Chainat province. And what we're going to take a look at, we're going to look at two things. We're going to look at Wat Mahathat, which means like the temple of the relic, and we're going to look at a smaller little ruin that's next to it that's not much. The Wat Mahathat is an active temple with the ruins, and then this is just a small little ruin over here. This is Wat Phra Mahathat. And both of these date back to the 14th century. Wat Mahathat, I think, was built in like in 1359. So it'll have a Ayutthaya influence with a little bit of Sukhothai. And then we'll look over here at this other one that has like an octagonal chedi that's really similar to one that you find in Sankhaburi. So let's see what we see today. So this is the ruin right here. So there's just a Wihan. It was a fairly good sized Wihan. Then it has the perimeter wall, and it has a couple smaller little chedis, and then this large octagonal base chedi right here that has the nooks for the Buddha images and stuff. And it's quite large. It takes up most of the site. And then back behind it are a couple more little chedis. You can see some rubble. Most of it is brick. They have a little bit of the spires for the tops of the chedis. And I don't know where the Ubasot or the ordination hall is at. It would have probably been on the other side of the chedi originally, but there's houses and stuff over there now. So this is the base. There's not a whole lot here. There's a little bit of the plaster that was on the Buddha image that was seated up on this pedestal. And then just a few of the column bases and stuff like that. You can see what's left of the Buddha image. So this was a large pedestal here for the Buddha image. And then a fairly large chedi was back over here. That's just down to the base. And then you can see the spires like these here. These would have been on the top of those little satellite chedis. The highlight here definitely is this large chedi here. Now there was some connection probably between here and Sankhaburi. The little towns and communities are not that far apart. And this was all destroyed through here when the Burmese came. They came down and sacked Ayutthaya, and they destroyed all the little towns and stuff along the way that didn't either join them. If they resisted, they were destroyed, just like they did with Ayutthaya. So you see here, there's a little bit of the plaster, and you can see the brickwork. The bricks are quite faded, and a little bit of it, but the chedi itself is in pretty decent shape. Over here is some more of the plaster work. See like the little lotus buds and stuff like that. And then just a couple of small satellites, and then the town. And there are several other abandoned temples back into where the town is at now. But we're not going to look at those today, just these. And you can see right there, there is some of the plasterwork. So they've restored that, put the image right there in that little cubby. And then this would have went up to the spire, which is all gone now. Yeah, it's a really nice little ruin. And there's a second little figure in that one. And there was styling and stuff up above. Would have been quite cool to see whenever it was new. Okay, so let's walk over to the main ruin that we came here to see, the Wat Mahathat now. All right, next to that first little temple ruin we looked at is the Wat Mahathat. This is the active part here. It's kind of cool. They got this gigantic Buddha head here. And then we'll go into the ruin over this way. So you can see the little prong up there. And we'll see quite a few of the old buildings and stuff. And they have some of the little artifacts and stuff that they've dug up while they excavated. So you see some of the laterite stones, and this looks like a thing here for Shiva, so there must have been some Hindu influence in it also. And then all the little Buddha images, and they're just stuck over here next to the temple building, just the parts and all that of them. And then right over inside, check this out. So they actually have a lintel here. That's a reclining Vishnu. So I don't know where the lintel was at. So they say the temple was built in 1359, but this here predates, I would say, the Sukhothai. So you can be the judge of that. I have a Buddha footprint and stuff here, and a couple unfinished Buddha images where they were carving them, and then some of the sandstone base here. Okay, so let's walk into the ruin now. You have the old perimeter wall, and then what they've done is they've taken this old Wihan that's right here, and they've put like a modern open building on the footprint of the original building, and they have a Buddha image inside of there, and so the people will come here and pray. Like I say, it is an active temple. There are the monks over there, and then the people can come here and do their thing. And this is the Buddha image that's inside of here. So you can see it's the Sukhothai image with the kind of the egg face and the eyes that are down and closed, and that ridge over the eyes. That's nice. That's kind of a cool little building. And then here we go into more of the interior part of the ruin. So here was the cloister. This would have been a covered walkway around this chedi. They would have had the Buddhas lined up here. You can see a few of them. These are new ones here, but they have some of the older ruins over, or the older Buddhas over that way. And then this is quite a cool little chedi here. It has a square base, and then it would have, I don't know if it would have went up to a bell or if it would have been more of the Sukhothai style. Okay, so the sign over here talks that the base is 19.2 meters by 19.2 meters. And they found just a little bit of evidence whenever they were doing some excavating that it did have a bell on the top. But it's really a cool looking structure. I like how they did the style work right there, and then they put a lot of plaster on top of it. And you can see where they've excavated here, and some of the parts of the chedi that's sloughed off, and some of the old Buddha images here with the brick core, and then the plaster on the outside, and pieces all out here. So this would have had a stairwell originally. You would have been able to go up to the relic chamber. Now they just have the base. That's all that's accessible, is just walking around here at the cloister. Another image here. And they have a really fantastic building here. I've never been able to get inside of it. Doesn't look like it's open today either. Okay, so over on this side is the stairwell, and they have it closed off. The stairs are in pretty bad shape, so you'd have been able to access a little like the relic area there would have been like a little alcove, and you could have went inside of it. And this is the famous part right over here. We'll look at that after we look at this building. So they have a more modern ordination hall right here, and it's built in the Ayutthaya style. Has the porch here on the back. You can see the naga, and just a little tiny bit of styling up on those columns on the outside. Someday maybe I'll be able to get inside of there. You can see the front here. So this building here dates back to the early Ayutthaya era, and inside's supposed to be some mural paintings and stuff on the wall, and it was restored in 1925. Yeah, it looks really cool. You can see how it's bowed here in the middle, like a boat, the Ayutthaya styling. I really like seeing those buildings. Okay, let's look at this other Wihan here, this gigantic one. This is what they call the 9-room vihara, or the Wihan. And it dates back to 1403 was when they originally started building this under one of the Ayutthaya kings. So there's all these columns here. They would have separate little rooms, and it's 14 meters wide by 50 meters long, which is just absolutely massive. And they would have had a little porch here, a little covered room, and then you would have went over this threshold to get into the main part of this building. And you can see the columns are brick with that plasterwork to make them into the octagon shape. which was a symbol of the Ayutthaya Kingdom. They like to do these columns in an octagon. And then that main Buddha right up there, and that's a new construct. It was put in by the locals here. You can see what a little bit of the wall is left, a little bit of the plaster on it. This would have been quite something if it was still intact. I mean, I like walking around the ruins, but I like it when they restore these also, and they actually keep using them. I think I like that better than just seeing bricks out here. Some places in Ayutthaya, you see it where they've went in and restored them and they're still using it, but most of it will be a new building next to the ruins. Even the one, like that first building we looked at, where they keep the same floor plan and then they put a building on top of it, I like that also. You can see they've had to support the back of this massive Buddha. You see the little notches in the columns? That would have been the cross beams to tie it into the wall to give the building stability. You can see they had little pedestals right there for some images. And then they had a back porch that was right here. And there's several little chedis, a small little building over there. And the chedis are really, really cool also. We'll look at those here in a bit. Let's walk over here to the old Khmer style prong in the back corner. I didn't even realize that we were this close to the river. You can see it right over there. And that's what would have gave this temple the importance, is that most of the time in the old days, you would have came up here by boat. So if you were right there, you could have just ridden the boat right to here. And this chedi here is what they call a carambola pedal chedi. And it's 19 meters tall, and you can see the styling up at the top. It has the little alcoves for the images, and it is kind of unique in Thailand. There's another one over in Lopburi that's similar in style to it. You see the little chambers there. They've wrapped the cloth around it, and you can see the little images in the alcoves. Right there you have a pigeon right on the head of it. But you have all the angels, all the religious imagery all up the top. And I don't know if this was built on an existing chedi or not. They just say this dates back into like the 15th century. And the other part of this temple that I really like is this little line of chedis that are right here. So you have them in different styles. You have them in Sukhothai style, you have them in Lana style, you have the Khmer styling with the staff of Shiva on the top. You can see the little animal figures. And these, they date back to the 15th century also. They restored them in the 1920s when they redid that building over there. You can see the figures, they use that blue, they use that in the plaster. Some of them, they even have some little Chinese plates that they put in, which you see is really common in the Ayutthaya era. But how fantastic is this? And then you have some of the old ones over here also that haven't been restored, that are just down to the brick. It's a pretty big site. It's kind of hard to restore everything. So you see this one here, you still see the floral patterns up there. It still has a little nook right here with the seated image. And it's right next to another shrine. And then they had some smaller little buildings over here that are just down to the base. And this chedi here, you see, has the little porcelain right above the little Buddhas. And then you see the lotus flowers all the way up to that little finale. And then the poses of the Buddha are all different. The walking, the standing, this resisting temptation, all of the different poses. And then down here, the plaster is kind of weathered a little bit. And then we have another little shrine over there. And then some more of the poses of the Buddha. Oh, it's really cool. And these are just right here next to that little 9-roomed Wihan. Quite a bit of sea here at this temple. You can see they're starting to fade pretty bad, but it's still cool to see. And this chedi right here is missing the top. And you can see the town. The wall just curves around the road, and then the town is right there on the banks of, I think it's the Noi River that comes down here. Oh, that's cool. You got like a elephant, and it's missing the figure that was right down below it, but you can see the two figures up there And then some more of the Buddha images here. And then this right here is a little building that's in the Ayutthaya styling. Looks like they restored it. Right there is the dates. The 2496, I think is what that is. So it's 2567 this year. So that's when they restored that little building. Yeah, and unfortunately it's locked up, so we can't see in there. And then they have a couple more little shrines and stuff like that. You can see some of the old wall of the cloister, and then some bases of the chedi. You can see how they were constructed, but they're all just completely gone. And then there's that part of the temple, the new working part. And then we can look back here. Here's the chedi and that old hall, and just all the stuff here on the temple. That's going to finish up our video over here at this old 14th century temple, Wat Mahathat. We got to see the old ruin next to it, and then we got to see this ruin and with the new building and stuff like that. It's quite cool. This here is got the same name, the Wat Mahathat. That's a really common name that you see at so many temples all over Thailand. It means like temple of the relic. So they just will give it a common name, and then they'll tell you the town that it's in. So this is in Chainat, and it is worth your time. It's going to be over here. You're not going to have any tourists at all. You can just kind of wander around and look at some things and see what you want to see. And if you're in the area, definitely check it out. If you're going towards Sukhothai or somewhere north, Nakhon, Sawan, somewhere like that, then stop in here and take a look at it. It's worth your time. I've been here a couple times, and I wanted to stop and look at it again today just because it's a really nice site. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new here, leave me a comment, tell me what you think. If you've been here or if you have any questions, ask me and I'll do my best to answer it. And definitely subscribe, that way you're notified whenever I post a new video. I post a lot, so if you want to see stuff in Thailand and everywhere else I travel, then this is where you need to be. And until next time, from over here in Chainat, remember, life is a journey. Until next time, enjoy.